Hey folks, and welcome to another episode of Hit Reviews with your host, Arlyeon. On today's episode, I'll be talking about Buckshot Software's retro-flavored FPS, Project Warlock. Find out if I thought it was a nostalgically magical experience, or if it was a hellish endeavor. Ahem! You are the Warlock, the only one who possesses the power and drive to wage a one-man war against the forces of hell itself. That's basically it. Project Warlock isn't really a narrative-intensive game, to be fair, given that its storytelling chops would fall more in line with the episodic fare that you'd encounter at the end of an episode of OG Doom. Okay, maybe slightly less ridiculous, since your roaring rampage of revenge is not doomed to carry on due to the death of your rabbit, but it's still pretty cheeky in its presentation. I will say, however, that whilst the ending was a bit of a surprise, it didn't actually come out of left field due to earlier text scrolls, so I'll give it props for some early foreshadowing. In any case, let's talk shop about how it plays. Mechanically, Project Warlock distinctly feels like a more old-school experience, eschewing narrative and regenerating health in favor of sprawling levels rife with enemies, and a healthy bundle of health kits and ammo to facilitate annihilating them. Another element that may be familiar is the distinct lack of checkpoints or saving during stages, as succumbing to the enemies will send you hurtling back to the start of the level to try everything all over again. Given that these stages are generally pretty digestible, this wasn't too bad in itself. What makes it more harrowing is the limited amount of lives you start with. See, whenever you die or restart a level, you lose a life, and should you run out of them entirely, your save is erased. Considering you only start with 3, this starts as a stressful element and was a major part of why I noped out of Nightmare difficulty, since it locks you in at a single life to clear out the entirety of the game. For those who hate progression laws, casual difficulty does eschew all this nonsense. That said, there are a handful of systems in place to help make the journey less daunting. For one thing, there's RPG elements at play, as you accrue experience as you gun down demonic masses, pick up treasure, and even as you discover secrets. Every time you level, you gain a point to slightly modify your character, but more importantly, every 5, you gain access to a perk point that allows you to gain passive skills like the ability to move through monsters so you can't get wedged into corners, vastly increased health and damage resistance, or even randomly gaining extra stat points whenever you level. That isn't the only form of customization you get either, since there's also upgrade points, a form of currency that's squirreled away throughout the stages. These can be used to upgrade the various weapons you acquire down one of 2 distinct paths which change how they function, such as improving the range of your axe and allowing it to leech either mana or health, or even turning your basic pistol into a high-damaging magnum. That said, whilst these unlock points can be used to upgrade your gear, they're also used as currency to buy spells, which often makes the decision of what you're choosing to upgrade at any given moment a highly tactical one. All these elements make the hunt for secrets incredibly important, whether it's hidden switches, walls that slide open when interacted with, or cracked ones you smash down with a steady application of violence. These stashes tend to provide invaluable sources of experience, some of the most consistent source of upgrade points, as well as a major source of extra lives you'll encounter, proving to be an invaluable boon to diligent explorers. Like, I legitimately found myself somewhere up to having 40 lives despite a few deaths earlier on because of the amount of times we went out of the way to hunt down these secrets. They also provide a surprising amount of shortcuts, as there's frequently a number which bypass the locked doors and sometimes labyrinthine setups of the various stages. Whilst I was generally fairly thorough in my extermination of evil, these avenues definitely provide some interesting options for speedrunners. And I suppose given that you can't spend stat points or upgrade points during stages, they can be really useful if you're hankering to improve yourself sooner than later, since whenever you finish a level set, you get to return to your home base. Thankfully, there's never more than 4 consecutive stages you need to conquer before you can recharge your health and ammo in a safe place and tinker with your kit. That said, even I found myself tempted to indulge in shortcuts when I got to the 4th zone of the game, and that's because whilst the game's various areas do manage to provide a generally distinct vibe for their encounters, the machine-oriented area tends to favor a lot of wider spaces and projectile spamming enemies more than capable of whittling your health into nothing.
And it also had the boss encounter that I loathed the most out of my entire experience, as he spams an attack that's nigh impossible to counter unless you preemptively acquired one of two perks. Perks I'd overlooked in favor of others, which turned that fight into a grueling slugfest. Fuck my life. On a visual level, the game takes a step back towards a bygone era of gaming, so you can expect some funny moments as you circle enemies or objects, and you find that they always turn with you like a creepy cardboard plank. That nitpick aside, I definitely appreciated the visual distinctiveness of each episode, as they all had their own unique environments as well as enemies to encounter. I also really dug the manner in which both the bigger enemies and bosses got gradually more macabre appearances to go along with their changing attacks as you whittled down their health bars. Honestly, my only actual gripe visually was that the shield spell has a messy habit of interfering with my ability to see the screen by overlaying everything with a dark blue effect. Still, I do need to give a massive shout out here to Project Warlock's OST, as it manages to have a broad array of musical themes for all of the various stages, which ends up amounting to a massive hours-long collection of varied retro-themed tunes to listen to. In and of itself, it's a genuinely impressive assortment, and one that has a fair amount of consistently good tracks to listen to. And that brings us to our conclusion. I have to say, I wasn't sure what to expect when I stepped into this title, but I came away from it feeling genuinely impressed and overall satisfied. Whilst I didn't really have much for me to sink my teeth into narratively, I really enjoyed the sheer amount of flexibility I had at my disposal in customizing my character as I progressed through it. Its level design and enemy encounters were a lot of fun in general, even if I squint a bit at episode 4 for the most part. But I had a lot of fondness for how much variety there was in its stage design, and I definitely appreciated that those levels never really overstayed their welcome in length, working within the limitation of its lack of checkpoints. Overall, I'd say Project Warlock is a solid hit. Anywho, thanks for tuning in. If you agree, disagree, or just have something to say to me, feel free to comment. And for those interested in more indie reviews, developer interview podcasts, or our Monday TTRPG content, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you know when there's a new release. There's also a Discord. You can click the link in the banner in the description to become a part of our community, the Crit Hit Cauldron. Lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have a coffee running now to help supplement funds for a lovely editor and to make sure we can continue to provide quality content. Again, check the banner and the description for them links. That said, I'll catch you folks on the next episode of Crit Hit. Take care till then.